I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Richard Swan. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
It's a very dark and cold night here in bonnie Scotland. All nice and quiet just after the witching hour of midnight, but it's all good.
But hey, it must be like around like 1 a.m. right now in Scotland?
Yeah, just quarter past midnight at the moment. Quarter past midnight. So we're
Wow.
getting there.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate you being here right now, my friend. Truly appreciate it. Tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
Yeah, so I am a fellow podcaster.
Yeah.
I'm the host of a UK podcast, which is called This Week in Property. And we help to pass out insights and information for all the property investors in the little island of the UK.
Yeah, great stuff going on there. The conversation I listened to was like a panel of you guys, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's a new format we're running with, which I'm really, really enjoying.
Yeah, it was definitely fun listening to the other aspects, the inputs into their experience seems to be huge.
Yes, absolutely. There's lots of angles to draw upon, lots of people to use, lots of experiences, and they all help each other. It's fantastic.
So, who did you learn the skill of? Let's do real estate. Who did you learn the skill of real estate from?
Well, real estate came about from my own research, going through the usual channels of books and going to workshops and what have you. But then myself and a couple of friends got together and we really learned the hard way how to not do it. And that's typical in life's journey. And bit by bit, we became more and more successful with it and been really fortunate in connecting with a lot of very experienced people. And now we're able to do the same for a lot of other people stepping into that world.
And how was the podcast impacted that journey?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's podcasting itself is something I've always loved and been involved in, both as a listener, but also I was a host previously for you terrible people over there call it soccer. We of course properly call it football because you hit the ball with your foot. But I'm going to gloss over that.
No, well, we call it football too, Richard. It's the Americans that call it soccer. So I'm in Trinidad, and
Good man.
yeah, good,
Good.
right?
Exactly. You know what these listeners are like. Need to make sure. But yeah, that's where I've had fun in the past, and again doing a lot of talk panel shows and what have you. So that's been great to draw upon, and then being able to use that joy, that skill with the world of business and property. Been able to merge the two of them together and make that learning experience much more enjoyable. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, we definitely know the work that goes behind the scenes, right? Why will you continue to repeat the skill nevertheless?
Yeah, it's because of the impact. It's because of the joy that I'm having, because I have it personally myself. It's a great passion listening to other people and hearing their stories, their angles, and getting to chip away at it and find what's underneath their decisions in life, and then seeing that impact. So having the joy within the room that I have my panel in and these expert guests, but then the emails, the LinkedIn's, the connections, people hooking back in, asking more questions, you can see that it's serving. So it's beautiful all round.
Yeah, it's addictive, isn't it? It's addictive.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
Well, tell us, where's the best place for us to connect with you, Richard?
Yeah, so thisweekinproperty.com is the central site for that. And that connects you with the full business and all the education companies that we have behind it as well.
Tell us one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Writing. I've got a bit of a passion with writing, so I'm a published author of some children's books and a novel, and that's something I've just always chipped away at in my own time.
Really? Tell us the name of those books, Richard.
Yeah, so the website for that stuff is richardswanbooks.com. And there's links off to it. All started with a little book which I wrote in a tatty old notebook just for my first daughter. I was one to help her when she was at her school when she was only 6 or 7 years old, and I wrote down some simple stories, and before you knew it, cut a long story short, it ended up getting published and made a big deal of in television over in Scotland, and it's been used by different schools around the country as well. So it's been an amazing journey.
Wow, how great is that? Let me take a jump
Yeah.
over here to see how this looks. Richard Swan, books.com, Whispers from the Pond.
That's the novel. Yes, that's the new novel. So the listeners on the left, that's the children's book, which helps them deal with things like bullying and bereavement and all sorts of challenges that they can face in their young lives.
Wow, and then there's the listeners.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right.
So it's been tremendous.
Yeah.
And again, great feedback, loads of just great stories that, maybe, for example, a young child who maybe they've lost a grandpa and they're struggling to deal with it. And these are very, very simplistic, childlike stories. And it just helps the parents or the grandparents guide them through that trauma. And it allows them to talk.
Well
beautiful.
done, my friend. Ooh, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, amazing audience. We are live again with Richard Swan. Again, he is the podcast host of The Name Slips Me Right Now, but I will definitely get it.
Property.
Yeah, This Week in Property. Yeah. The last conversation I listened to is how to really think big and improve your property business. Well, Richard, let's switch gears for a moment right now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Richard, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Now I'm going to take that beauty and tranquility and I'm going to change it. I'm afraid it's a graphic picture of a young trauma falling out of my grandpa's little car. And I can still vividly see the pictures. And I fell onto some very hard gravel and my right knee burst open with bloods, and I still have the scar to this day. That's the earliest memory I have.
How old do you think you were?
I've been checking with my mum, and she reckons I was roughly 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. Why do you think this memory is so clear, other than the pain, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. I think that's what it's tied into, because I've read a lot of psychology, and apparently we really, really struggle with the first 3 years of our lives. So after that gap, this is a moment that has been really highly emotionally charged for me. And I think that's why it's stuck in there somehow. So the colour, the vividness, the smells, the connection with my grandpa, who had a big tie with. I think it's a mixture of all those things coming together.
So how was it possible for you to fall out of the car?
Yeah, my typical total excitement, couldn't wait, rushing, trying to get ahead of myself. No matter what the wise old grandpa would say about slowing down, the young boy was not going to listen, and he just jumped out and tried to run, and I tripped on the kind of footwell of the car right onto the hard gravel.
Wow. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Yes, I have still got the same mad drive for life. I'm a much older man. I've got 3 younger children myself, and my energy surpasses them. So it's still there. Yeah. I've not learned.
I love it. You know, there's one thing I'll play with. Like, I love how you connected the dots. I think you're on spot. There's one thing I just want to touch on, which is just to play with your name, just to have a bit of fun. And it's just how the ugly duckling could become the beautiful swan.
Well, funnily enough, my nickname at my first school was Signet. There you go. They played on the name and called me Signet.
There we go.
Not an ugly duckling, thankfully.
Love it. Well, if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Yes, Hotel California by the Eagles.
There we go. Yeah, most definitely, right? Yeah. You love music, do you?
Very much. Very strong thing in my family. I'm a guitar player myself, and my whole kind of dad's side of the family, very, very heavily influenced with music. And that full album, that Hotel California album, was one of the LPs that was always being played in the house somewhere. So that's why it's stuck with me for so long.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing, though, how it can connect to the fact that you love property?
That's it. The hotel. I've still to buy a hotel in California. I'm working towards it.
There we go.
There might be better ones in Trinidad.
Well, I could say that for sure. Yeah, love it. All right, Richard. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Richard?
Sure. Let's go.
Richard, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, that's my 3 young daughters.
Are you married?
I'm not. I am a lucky and blessed single dad.
There we go. Do you believe in God?
I do, and he's certainly helped me make my life so blessed.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Very much so. Yes, I've got a strong circle of 6 or 7 guys that I lean on and who challenge me to be better.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No, I do not. TV is a very, very low priority in life. The screen is really just used for movies with my daughters, and it's mostly getting out in nature or reading books.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8?
Yeah.
Or less than 8
Yeah,
hours?
well, no, it's round about 6. I thought about it actually, because yes, there's a lot of computer work in my job, but there's a lot of running about and doing actions and hosting events and teaching and so on. So yeah, it's round about six a day.
Richard, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Richard Swan, what would you say that is?
It's 3 letters, and it's 3 letters I use when I'm trying to weigh up every different choice that we have in life. FMI. Will this be fun for me? Will this be meaningful to me? Or will this be interesting for me? FMI. And if it ticks one of those boxes, go for it.
I love it. Well, just got the branding for the podcast. Yeah, it was fun, meaningful,
and interesting.
Love it.
Brilliant.
Well, Richard, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yes, and I'm sure they are amazing, and I want them to keep that in mind, because I reckon that most people are really nice and they don't put themselves above others. But I would ask them equally, do not doubt yourself and do not put yourself below others. We've all got a value, and we've all got a story.
I love it. Richard Swan, great pleasure, I say. My friend, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, sir. Best wishes on your journey.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.